How you gonna walk through this world? It's so easy to misstep. How are you gonna walk through the world? So easy to screw it up. You gotta rise like the sun does every day. Rise up, look above. The light feels something like love. Hello and welcome. I'm Shelley Leedahl, a multi-genre literary writer coming to you from Ladysmith on Canada's lovely Vancouver Island. When anyone's asked what my 12 books are about, I say they're about the human heart. You see, I'm kind of a fool for love, and if you are too, then you're in the right place. This is Something Like Love, an eclectic literary podcast that explores that wildest of animals, love, through various genres. Via short stories, poetry, serializations of longer works, and personal essays, I'll pull back the blinds to reveal the lives and loves of those braving the high seas of human emotion. First up are 10 edgy short stories featuring teens learning the hard way, as we do, about familial, platonic, and romantic love, and learning to love themselves on the journey. There'll be something new to listen to every Wednesday. Do you write too? At the end of each episode, I include a springboard exercise for anyone who feels like doing a bit of their own writing. One day, in the future, there may be a forum for listeners to share their work. Step by step, people. Old dog, new tricks. I clearly remember my last day of high school in Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan. It was a gorgeous day, parties were being planned, and someone was blasting Alice Cooper's iconic Schools Out from a TransAm. I knew I was going to study journalism arts at the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology in Calgary come September, and over the summer I'd be working full-time at the Co-op grocery store. Any spare time would be spent on, in, or beside one of the clear, cold lakes in the Meadow Lake Provincial Park. That summer after high school and before the wide open playing field that's the rest of your life is a unique season. Do you remember yours? Maybe it still awaits you. This is episode 5 of Something Like Love. Again, I've chosen a young male narrator and a small town setting. The story is called Smoke from Our Cigarettes. Truth or Dare was the game to play when we were kids. Kissing in closets, eating crickets, typical small-town juvenile fun. Then we grew up. Well, sort of grew up. We got driver's licenses, steady dates, part-time jobs, pumping gas or packing groceries at the co-op. The first guys to grow facial hair pulled the beer. They drove 70 kilometers on a potholed highway to a town where nobody knew them. Shoulders broadened, feet grew, voices deepened to a lower key, but for me and my buddy Ty, there remained nothing sweeter than fishing off the bridge like when we were 10, neither of us feeling the need to make conversation or even catch a fish. The sun braised our skin to the color of roasted marshmallows as we casted and mutely stared across mesmerizing grain fields. The upturned bowl of sky met undulating crops, the horizon a hypnotic place we knew only as away. I guess it was the same for the girls. They mastered the application of eyeliner and acted like it wasn't cool to run anywhere, when walking at a sloth-like pace would get you there too. But I bet my Swiss Army knife they wouldn't pass up a bubblegum machine or a hopscotch chalked onto the sidewalk, glancing around first, of course, to be sure no one could see them. That's the people we were, Ty, Lene, Christy, and me. 4 restless souls with spanking new grade 12 diplomas heading into the final season before we split off like fireworks and became adults. It was our grace summer. Except for Ty, whose family owned the cafe, we weren't expected to work full-time. The girls and I slept in until noon at our respective homes. Then we put a few hours in at menial jobs we didn't care if we got fired from. Our mothers nagged us to do more, but in our trusting teenaged hearts, we knew they'd wrap us in bear hugs and bawl like calves the day we walked out the door toward adult responsibilities. But we itched. You can only tear up and down Main and Railway, past the credit union and the seniors drop-in center, so many times. We were on the brink of something, and we all felt it. I dredged up Truth or Dare one Saturday afternoon after I'd finished setting pins for the ladies' bowling league. So what about it, guys? Should we have a game for old time's sake? I was miles from being serious. I'm in, Ty said, testing his tongue over newly straightened teeth. He'd been wired up in braces since grade 9 and couldn't get over the fact that his mouth was finally liberated. He hadn't kissed anyone since a grade school peck in the playground. Whatever. Christy shook the layered lengths of her naturally blonde-streaked hair. She buffed her sunglasses and tried to see her reflection. My lifelong pal was headed for the University of Saskatchewan. Among our graduating class, 8 students, 3 of whom shared the last name Friesen, Christy was most likely to succeed in a not-so-challenging profession or marry wealth, bear 2 kids, a boy and a girl of course, cute enough to appear on commercials for laundry detergent, and still maintain a shape she'd not be ashamed to take to the beach. Lene drew an extra deep sigh and gazed at the porcelain sky above the drive-in theater, as if searching for a jet to take her away. The screen was beat up now by wind and kids with pellet guns who had nothing better to do. It hadn't shown a movie since our parents were teens. They told tales of stuffing friends and cousins in the trunk so they wouldn't have to pay, and the night one character whipped out a chainsaw at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, not the remake. I'm sure, Andrew. Lene spit a wad of spent sunflower seeds out the car window. I imagined birds and rodents going after them once we'd vacated. Truth or dare, are we 18 or in grade 8? Her sauciness was a honed skill, but you could overlook it because that girl had the best pitching arm anyone had seen in years. Even the men's team sometimes called her in as a ringer. She was also the closest thing to a beatnik folks around here had ever experienced, a big-time rancher's daughter, and she didn't eat meat. She wasn't certain where life would take her, but said she wanted to see as much of the world as possible before she dropped her anchor. In August, she was strapping on a backpack and conquering Europe. Well, maybe you'd prefer another spin down Maine, Ty quipped. Hey, maybe the clock on town halls moved a few minutes. Oh, what the hell, Christy said with affected monotony. There's nothing else to do. Okay, Lene conceded, turning to Ty and me in the back seat. She was wearing a tie-dyed shirt, purple and orange blotches like exploded fruit. One last game, for old time's sake, but I'm not kissing anyone. Ty's lips spread into an expensive smile. Christy started the 1975 Cadillac Eldorado we all called the Love Boat. To the bridge, then? She asked. The bridge, we said in unison, and sailed out on the service road, gravel popping beneath the bald wheels like grain from an auger. The Middle Creek Bridge was a favorite party hangout. From there we could see the cemetery's lone tree on a slight rise. The ancient cottonwood poked out of the earth like a giant withered claw, fingers outstretched as if forever grasping at ghosts or whatever else it could wrangle. We sat there, smoke from our cigarettes coiling out the windows like calligraphy. I wondered if the others were thinking what I'd been each time we went to the bridge, shared a plate of fries and gravy in the cafe, or hung out on the memorial in the Elks Park. It might be the last time. Hey, Christy said, straightening behind the wheel. I've got the dare to end all dares. We've talked about this our entire lives. Let's see who's got the balls to do it. I dare anyone to spend the night in the cemetery." "I ain't doing it," Ty blurted, shaking his newly shorn head. He'd recently gone from shoulder-length hair to a buzz cut. He was going to try the army, see if there really was no life like it. Not for $1 million. "No one offered $1 million, Lene said, but I'll chip in $5. "Forget it." Ty tossed his smoke. It fizzled out among the rocky embankment. In a few months, our careers as smokers would also fizzle to nothing. "Grandma Betty's buried in there." I snickered. Maybe she'd visit. At least you wouldn't be alone. We watched a pair of tumbleweeds somersault across the road. Greenish, silver grasshoppers leapt intermittently. "Friggin' hot in here," Christy said, stepping out of the car. We followed her lead, the three of us leaning against the dusty black car while she hopped on the hood and pulled a 1940s Hollywood movie star pose. "Why's there always a fence around a graveyard?" she asked. "Because people are dying to get in," we answered together. It was Ty's turn. "How many people are dead in the graveyard?" "All of them," we said automatically. "I've got one," Lene said, her top rustling in the minor breeze. Her ponytail was falling out of an elastic. She blew a stray lock off her face. "Why didn't the skeleton cross the road?" "Beats me," I said. I thought I'd heard them all. "Because he had no guts." A Swainson's hawk swooped into the speargrass, a mouse dangling in its beak. The breeze had some fun with a plastic bag in the ditch. I finished my smoke and ground it beneath my heel. "I'll do it," I said, surprising myself. "I'll sleep in the graveyard." "Are you freaking nuts?" Ty asked. A grasshopper landed on his thigh and he flicked it off like a tiddlywink. I lit another smoke. "Like Christy said, we've been talking about this forever. If something happens, I'll become a legend. If nothing happens, and nothing will happen, I'll still be a legend." Lene lowered her long lashes, a sultry, half-asleep look I expected she might adopt in years to come. I hoped she'd find someone somewhere on the map of the world who would appreciate her weird mind and unordinary beauty. She often seemed light years older than us. "I wish you wouldn't." "Hey," I said, fingering my pocketed knife. "Guys gotta be remembered for something, right? It's a win-win." Christy jumped off the hood. "It's going to be dark soon." She set her hand on my wrist. "Andrew, are you sure?" "Just watch me," I said, pushing away from the car with a swagger, my thumbs in my jean pockets and chin cocked like someone who struck Yukon gold and is leaving a saloon after a hard night of drinking and carrying on. "I'm going now. This is me leaving, walking to the graveyard." Lene ran after me. She'd whipped the blanket off the back seat of the Love Boat. "At least take this," she said. "It gets cold." I could hear Ty busting a gut behind me. "Don't forget to write." Christy started the car, and soon my friends disappeared around the curve. I stared at the tree and said, "Just you, me, and the moon," as if it could hear and understand. I toured the graveyard, respectfully staying off graves. Before long, it was too dark to see the names on the tombstones. My family took up a large section in the north corner. It was a little freaky, but not too bad. I circled the cottonwood a few times, looking for the most comfortable place to throw the blanket and my body. I swept stones and broken branches away from a relatively flat spot and settled in. It was a clear night, after a clear day, with one of those vivid moons where you think you can discern the craters. When the stars started popping out, I thought about the Light-Bright I had as a kid, and how much I loved arranging the pegs to make pictures that glowed when the screen was plugged in. Well, those days were all over. Those pegs had all been vacuumed up years ago. A coyote howled, and I tried to measure the distance between me and it, but sound carries a long way across the prairie. Nothing for them to bounce off of, I guess, and I wasn't in danger. I was cool but not cold beneath the old blanket, It smelled like stale beer and cats. I thought about the directions my best friends were headed in. Lene, with her zeal for adventure, Christy off to the University of Saskatchewan, Ty joining the army. I was the only one who hadn't declared a plan. Truth is, I didn't have one. Every day, Mom asked, "So, Andrew, have you decided what you're going to do with your life yet?" Every day, I answered the same way. "Nopers, but you'll be the first to know." The real world. That's what I was scared of. Not the snowy owl that lit in the tree for a few seconds, then took off with a great flap, or the graves of babies not 10 meters from my head. I didn't have a passion, and I'd seen what happens to people who don't have passions. They land in one shitty job for their entire lives, or hop from shitty job to shitty job, work hard and don't get paid enough money or respect. They get old, retire, and die before they've even had time to take it easy in the so-called golden years. They don't even get to break in the new lazy boy ordered in special from the city. Our town was full of stories about people who worked until they were 65 or 70, then kicked the bucket a few weeks after they quit. My grandpa, the town butcher until his Parkinson's made it so he could hardly hold a knife, was among them. For the time being, I could clerk at the Peavy Mart 2 towns over, and I could always get work at harvest. Anyone who could drive and knew their way around a field could find some farmer who needed another pair of hands during harvest. I'd helped my Uncle Steve last year. It was hard, hot, dirty work driving combine, but I liked how when you made the turns at the corners of the swathed fields, the sun's new direction put a different shine on everything, and the radio played all those songs from the 1970s that made you feel like some people, somewhere, were truly happy. A root was jabbing into my ribs. I tossed and twisted until I found the most comfortable of the uncomfortable positions. Then I closed my eyes, and sleep followed. I woke up disoriented, the sun beating a mean path through the branches. Chickadees were making a holy racket, and I barely missed getting hit by one of their gooey missiles. I made it, I thought, sitting up. I checked myself head to toe, nothing missing or damaged. Not one ghoul had arisen to haunt me. Nothing much happened during the following week. Lene's family got a new German Shepherd to replace their old one. May Bowser and his bad hips rest in peace. Christy bowled a 210. In a town of 300 souls, little nuggets like these pass as news. Word of my stay in the graveyard also spread, but only the younger kids seemed impressed. Some folks called me a damn fool, and Mum freaked on me for not letting her know I was staying out all night. My friends had forgotten to call her. No, you couldn't say there was anything strange about that week. It started the Sunday after. Christy was first. We were sitting on the homemade swings in her backyard. We were too old by about 10 years and probably too heavy by several kilos. She lived on the edge of town with nothing behind her place but a back alley and a barley field. We'd grown up on those swings. We knew the scarred wooden seats like our own well-practiced signatures. Christy was leafing through the university calendar, considering her options. I wanted to take art, she said, but I don't know how I'll fit it in. Mum thinks I should take French because... What's that? I interrupted, noting an official-looking letter between the pages. Oh, that, she said, sliding it out, is my acceptance letter. Here, you can read it. I began out loud. Dear Christina Siemens, thank you for your interest in attending our university. We regret to inform you that your application has not been approved at this time. Christy wrenched the letter from my hands. Quit kidding around. She stared at the words, and her jaw dropped like a wooden puppet's. "This is crazy. This came weeks ago. It said I was accepted." Her eyes filled. The hand holding the letter was trembling. There must be some mistake. I pulled her off the swing, steadying her. "We'll get it sorted out," I said, leading her by the elbow back to the house. "I've got a phone." "It's Sunday," I said. "The registrar's office won't be open." Christy's mom and Aunt Helen were having coffee inside. My friend held the letter between her fingertips as if it were diseased. "What's going on?" Mrs. Siemens set down her mug. She looked to me. "It's her letter from university," I said, passing it across. "It says she's not accepted." The woman's eyes widened, and she looked younger then, almost like one of us. "What?" She silently read the letter, and a smile broke across her face. "You guys, you're such kidders." She started laughing and passed the letter to her sister. Christy and I were stunned. "How could you?" Christy cried. "You should go into drama," Helen said. "You're a great actor." I snatched the letter and scanned the opening again. "Thank you for your interest in attending our university. We are pleased to inform you that your application has been approved." My hand flew to my heart as if to still it. "Christy, we must have read this wrong." She studied the letter again. "This is unbelievable. I know what I read, and so do you. The words changed back." She let her body fall against the wall. Mrs. Siemens laughed again and waved in the air as if she were brushing us off. She poured herself another cup of coffee. "I swear," she said. Monday evening, we met at the Ball Diamond for a game of 500. Lenné wanted to throw some pitches, I would catch, and Ty would crack them into outfield. His brother, Beau's friend Jimmy, and Christy were fielders. "We can switch up," Ty said, his hands on either end of the red aluminum bat as he did some side stretches. He did warm-up exercises whenever he participated in sports. Usually, I made fun of him, but I was feeling ill-humored. What the hell was up with that letter? "No, that's okay," I said. "You go ahead. You can hit." "Well, if you change your mind." He stepped up to the plate, his long frame throwing a shadow across my face. My Uncle Pete drove past in his new Ford F-150 and honked. "Sweet truck," Jimmy yelled. Lenné was pawing the dirt with her cleats like a bull about to charge. A powerful girl. She could whip me in arm wrestling and every sport except hockey. She wound up and threw a pitch. "High and outside," I said, pulling double duty as ump. I winged the ball back. "Come on, Lenné, give him something he can hit," Christy yelled. She wouldn't have been able to catch anything if her life depended on it, but she was a good sport. Lenné pushed up the sleeves of her white sweatshirt and threw another. "Strike," I called. Beau was shouting, "Humbada, come on, big chucka, let's go now." He punched his fist into the pocket of his glove. "Put one in there." Ty stepped back from the plate and gave the air a serious swing. Lenné cracked her gum. "You ready?" "Give me your best shot," Ty said. Lenné pulled back for the pitch. It curved inside, and Ty took it directly in the chops. He wobbled away from the plate, mouth a bloody geyser. Lenné rushed forward. "Oh my God!" The fielders were right behind her. "Ty, buddy, are you okay? Let me see your mouth," I said, keeping my voice low, trying not to sound too alarmed. He was twirling. "Come on, let's have a little look." I attempted to pull his hand away. Blood oozed through his fingers. Christy sat him on the bench and began prying his reluctant hand off his mouth, finger by finger. His lip kept pouring. She whisked off her bandana and pressed it to the wound. "Keep pressure on it," she said, her head close to his. The rest of us stood a few meters away, helpless and awkward. Finally, the last finger was off. "It's," Crispy gasped. "Oh, Ty, your teeth, they're all broken?" he cried. "They're black." We swarmed in. His 8 front teeth, top and bottom, had turned black as burnt French fries. Ty was too macho to cry, but the way his shoulders were heaving as he read our shocked expressions was as close to weeping as I'd ever seen from the guy. "I gotta go home," he said. Beau picked up the ball and bat, and Jimmy grabbed the gloves. We moved together toward the cafe, And when we got him there, his mum bawled at the damage. Nerve ends, she said, sniffing. He's damaged his nerve ends. 2,000 pot-licking dollars in orthodontics, his dad kept muttering. Lene, Christy, and I made a quick farewell. I feel like utter shit, Lene confessed. I squeezed her shoulders in condolence. Hey, don't be so hard on yourself. It was an accident. Ty knows it was an accident. He's right. Christy put her hand on Lene's arm. Could have happened to anyone. Lene wouldn't be cheered. But he loves those teeth. He spent 3 years in hell for them, and I killed them. I didn't have anything more to say. Basically, that was exactly what she'd done. The next morning, I was sawing logs when the home phone rang. Can somebody get that? I yelled. No answer. I stumbled out of bed and into the kitchen, knocking the phone off the counter. Hello? Hello? It's me, Ty said, panting. You won't believe this. My teeth are okay. You mean you're not going to have to get dentures? I was still half asleep. Nope, they're not even black anymore. My lips swollen all to hell, but when I woke up and looked in the mirror, my teeth were absolutely perfect. My heart, that old drummer, was beating in double time. Too freaky. Tell me about it, he said. A medical miracle, or something. Christy's letter, Ty's teeth. Yeah, I said, absently, or something. Lene almost bit it on Tuesday. It was raining goats and ponies, so there wasn't much to do except go for coffee, and Ty was working at the cafe anyway. He was still floating over his dental good fortune. We sat beside the window. Rain was streaking through the dusty and fingerprinted pane. Christy followed a drop with her fingernail. She seemed knee-deep in reverie. You want some coffee with that sugar? Ty asked, holding the pot over the dregs of my enamel cup. There were already 4 empty sugar wrappers in front of me. If I got any sleep after this caffeine and sugar-laced day, I'd be the first to be surprised. Nah, I'm good, I said. I'd been paid a few days earlier and had decided to splurge on the girls. Anybody want pie? I'm buying. Blueberry, thanks, Christy said. Oh, apple here, Lene said. Thanks, eh? Lemon meringue for me, I said, spotting a supersized piece in the display case. Preferably that monster over there on the bottom. Ty scooped the sugar wrappers with his big mitt. 3 pieces, coming up. The radio was playing country music, a genre I'd grown up with but couldn't bring myself to properly appreciate, even though some folks around there said I had a voice that might turn the right ears in Nashville. No one else was in the cafe, so Ty'd cranked the volume. Same old, poor me, she left and I'm drunk and broke, the old dog died and there's no more purple gas for my tank. A couple kids in yellow rain jackets and red boots were puddle jumping beside the credit union. I remembered doing the same thing. It didn't seem that long ago. So, Andrew, have you decided what you're doing in the fall yet? Christy curled her hair behind her ears as if she wanted to hear my answer better. She had a face like a Barbie doll, but hair the auburn color of Barbie's best friend, Midge. What are you, my mother? I snapped, then smiled so she'd know I wasn't upset. Yeah, Lene added. What are you going to do? Time's a ticking, bud, she said, tapping her watch. What was I going to do? I still didn't have a flipping clue. I think I'll stick around and marry some young divorcee, I said, or take up cross-dressing. Somebody's got to keep the town gossip mill rolling, eh? Ty returned with our pie. I sliced through the meringue to get to the good stuff. Christy said before her fork even reached her mouth. Delish. Ty told me to scoot over so he could join us. I obliged. Again, it felt so much like a last time a lump rose in my throat, a veritable walnut of sentimentality. So where's your first stop on your travels, Linz? Christy asked. She took another bite, daintily, like a royal. Lene put her hand up in the stop signal. She was chewing. Well, if I were you, I would definitely check out Amsterdam, Ty was saying. Spain, Christy said, or Greece. Eos is supposed to be the party island. I've always wanted to see Ireland, I said. I don't know why, it's just... Lene was making a gurgling noise, her eyes bright as quarters fresh from the mint. She's choking, Christy cried. She began chopping between Lene's shoulder blades. Jesus, get some help! Ty ran for his dad. Lene was turning an unhealthy color, purple like a birthmark. Get her out, Christy screamed. I grabbed my friend's arm and wrangled her out of the booth. She was frantically scratching her throat, leaving long red lines on the already discolored skin. I thumped her back, desperate to get her breathing, but afraid I'd break her bones. Christy screamed, "It's not working!" "Out of the way," Ty's dad yelled. He wedged between us and grabbed Lene's slumping body from behind, just beneath the ribs. He cupped one palm beneath her sternum and heaved. Nothing. Lene's eyes rolled back. She looked like a zombie, or blind. "We're losing her," Ty yelled. I brushed my fingers across my Swiss Army knife. Oh, God. Emergency tracheotomy. They did it in the movies all the time, but could we? Could I? I slid the knife out of my pocket. Christy let out another wolf-like yelp. "What the hell are you doing? You'll kill her." Ty shouted, "I'll call the ambulance." The room went quiet, like the moments before the thunderbolt breaks a searing hot afternoon. 1, 2, 3. Ty's dad heaved on Lene again. Something flew from her mouth and skittered across the linoleum. She began coughing and gasping when she realized she was going to survive. "That a girl," Ty's dad said, holding her upright. "We thought we'd lost you. Nice, slow breaths now. You're going to be fine." Christy was wiping tears with a bald serviette. Ty'd gone to the window to see if the ambulance was on its way. I followed the projectile's path. Whatever it was had shot beneath a table. I knelt to retrieve it, and what I saw was impossible. "You find anything?" Ty asked. "Nothing," I said, surreptitiously pocketing the chicken bone. No one needed to know. Whatever it was, I think it's gone now. It was gone then, whatever it was. It wove through our friendship and out again like smoke from our cigarettes. A spirit in search of an exit? No idea, but I'm not one to discount the extraordinary. Some kind of warning, I guess. Don't play games with the dead. But why was I spared a personal scare? Maybe I'd already paid my dues beneath a lone, sprawling tree and the eye of the moon. Summer closed its doors as if, like the butcher shop, the OK economy, and the grain elevators, it too had gone out of business and would not return to our small prairie town. My friends left for their separate destinations. I still didn't have a clue about what my own horizon would hold, but in the meantime, I drove a swather for Hank Friesen. He had 4 sections of canola to cut, and I knew my way around a field. That was Smoke from Our Cigarettes, written and read by me, Shelley Leedahl. Music, well, you can blame that on me too. The story was produced by Zak Cohen. Are you ready to write? I'm going to suggest that you try writing a piece that begins realistically, then swerves toward fantastical events. Your writing might take on a sci-fi plot twist or shape itself into a ghost story. Let your imagination run wild. Consider some what-ifs. What if all the people you knew suddenly regarded you as a stranger? What if you started understanding the conversations between dogs? Whatever you do, have fun. You're at the wheel and you're ready to drive right off the map as we know it. Please join me next Wednesday for episode 6 of Something Like Love. We're going to stick with that small town vibe and meet Shelley. Shelley fears she fell for Roddy because he didn't have a mother. It's a pitying kind of love, and like an old sweater in your closet, it may be unraveling soon. The 10 stories in the Something Like Love series were made podcastable via the Canada Council for the Arts Digital Originals Grant Program, and I am grateful. How are you going to walk through this world? It's so easy to misstep.